Howdy, guys. We're here doing uh, another book review. I'm still wearing the same thing just because we're recording all these at the same time. So if you just saw me wearing this and talking about this book, well, it's the same day because we're doing like four all at once. This is going to be a review of I can never remember. Is it Jamaica Kincaid by Annie John, right? Or is it Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid? Yeah, it's Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid. The character's name is Annie John, I think. That doesn't clue you into how impactful this story was. Should clue you in. Uh, yeah, Jamaica Kincaid, the little blurb from the New York Times review. So touching and familiar it could happen to us. And that is it. That's exactly the book's strength, its wisdom, and its truth. Um, let's do the back thing. Since her first prize-winning collection of stories at the bottom of the river, Jamaica Kincaid's works has been met with nothing short of amazement. The New York Times held her prophetic power, and Los Angeles Times book review said no one else seems to be writing quite this way right now. With Annie John, the story of a young girl coming of age in Antigua. Kincaid tore open the theme that lies at the heart of all her fierce incantory novels. What does that mean? The ambivalent and essential bonds created by a mother's love. In this novel, written in Kincaid's lucid, elemental style, Johnny John's ambivalence is universally familiar and wrenchingly real. And Jamaica Kincaid is the author of several highly praised works of fiction, among them the autobiography of My Mother Lucy and At the Bottom of the River, and the fictional book A Very Small Place. She lives in Vermont with her family. I can tell why this book was part of. So this book, along with several other ones, was part of the theme was like a tour of worldwide literature or something like that. Um, I'm sure it was a more detailed theme than that. But I mean, that was 20 years ago. Give me a break. But this was like the Comp 201 or something, whatever. It's the second English composition, of course, whatever it was. Um, and this was one of the books. I have vague recollection that I bullshitted my way through a book report on this one. And I think I literally just like opened up one chapter, read the chapter, and analyzed that one chapter out of context of the rest of the book. Because that's English. That's English literature class for you. Bullshitting your way through book reports. When did this come out? This came out in 1983, 1984, 1985. Yeah, 1983. It said the book is about a little girl growing up, a very precocious young girl. And I don't know, I guess part of the reason why I didn't really connect with this book. I know that I'm like really snooty with the English lit stuff. Like there's a reason why I detest it. It was because it seemed like everything that I got recommended for required reading was just like terrible to read for me personally. And this wasn't terrible, but I didn't like reading this. And part of it, I think a big part of it is the way the little girl behaves. She talks about her anger towards her mother, and then the way her mother started treating her, like near the end, the anger that the mother started treating her. And I just, and the infatuation that the girl had for other girls. Maybe this is like, if you're like a woman, and you grew up as a woman or a girl, identifying as a girl. Maybe this speaks to you a little bit closer. And of course, you know, the women who recommended the book as required, with the required reading were all women. So maybe that experience is a little bit more relatable. But for me, I didn't understand that the precociousness. It's written from the perspective of the little girl, right? So it's very arrogant and precocious. Uh, the girl, at least from her own perspective, is obviously just dominating every situation. She has these infatuations with other schoolgirls and stuff, and I don't. And like there's this weird like back and forth with she loves her mother, but she's like can't stand her like by the end of it, and for like no real reason. The mother just like suddenly just starts treating her like crap, and I'm like, I just didn't understand. There was some obviously some experience. Maybe it seemed like there was some like feminine experiential knowledge that I am completely oblivious to. That is context for this book. Um, there's something about the female experience that I'm assuming gives this book life that I completely lack. And that's been my book. And maybe it's an amazing book if you're a woman or you are somehow less autistic than me. Maybe maybe you would connect more with this book. But for me, this just speaks of dry English lit books that I didn't really connect with. That's I wouldn't recommend the book, is what I'm saying. uh, Especially I don't know, maybe if I didn't like the book. That's all I can say is I didn't like the book, and I can say it because I didn't understand the characters' actions. Um, I didn't really like any of the characters. I didn't really connect with any of the characters. The plot just seemed to kind of ramble. It didn't really like seem like it was going anywhere. If there was a plot, it was more like a just a journal, you know, instead of like there was no like direction it seemed the story seemed to be driving. It was just except, you know, as a progression of time. That was the only direction the story was driving was the direction of time. Um yeah, I don't understand why this book would be held up as a particularly good book. But that's just me. You may have a different experience. So yeah, I hate doing negative reviews. Except for I don't know if we ever get to Ulysses and me trying to get like through the first chapter of Ulysses. Uh, I I might just have some. I have some hate for that book, but I don't hate this book. I just didn't connect with it. I didn't like it. Um, I just don't see the appeal of the book. And that's all. I keep saying the same thing over and over again. But this is it's that's how I feel about it. If you guys have read this book and you got some other feels to the contrary, feel free to pop in the comments or whatever. That's why they're there. Um, maybe somebody else can give me some insight that maybe I missed. But yeah, that's Jamaica Kincaid by Annie John. Um, as for next week, there'll be another review, and so that was last week. We have Restoration Agriculture As I am into kind of like permaculture, which is kind of like a holistic farming, say farming, but ecology development and farming. Basically, the idea of building like stable, sustainable uh, um, farming and living systems. Um, just from a theoretical standpoint, I just like it. Uh, I try to do some gardening in my backyard or whatever, but this book is a bit more for like farmers who are like building like acres of farms. Um, we did do a book on where's it? I'm looking right at it. Guy's Garden. Maybe I'll get that up. There was another permaculture book that I did. I got all my toys in one. Called Guy's Garden, which was like a home scale uh, version of how to do permaculture. You know, at your home, it's just like an acre or half an acre, quarter of an acre, whatever you got. Well, this is like the other end of the scale. This is like full scale, like uh, commercial scale agriculture, at least small scale commercial at the very least. Um, developing systems and stuff that are sustainable. So the whole point, just to give you a little bit of a context, like all the farming and stuff, commercial farming nowadays requires huge industrial inputs. The fertilizers are, of course, made with fossil fuels, and then you till up the ground, and you have to put the fertilizers in there because you killed the soil microbiome, and then you got to put pesticides because you killed off all of the natural predators. It's just like the whole system is like out of whack, and we have huge industrial inputs, fossil fuel industrial inputs into the thing, and the whole idea behind permaculture is coming up with systems that sustain themselves because they are innately stable. So like a natural forest is innately statable to some degree because all of the competing interests of all of the different biologies that are the organisms that are in the forest or whatever are making the system stable. And that's kind of the idea behind permaculture is do that, but have it a human-centered design. So all of the species are serving some purpose that meets human goals. So like all the trees would be like nut producing, like acorn or walnut trees or something like that, and that would be your top scale trees. And then like all the bushes would be like berry bushes and stuff like that, and they're producing, at least at parts of the year they're producing crops. And all of these are perennial agriculture, so you're not replanting every year. You plant it once, it grows and matures, it starts producing fruits every year so you don't have to have that constant input. Anyway, I'm going into big the next one after their eyes were watching God is restoration agriculture, which I think I've started a little bit, but anyway, we're going well into the next review. So we'll stop there. Yeah. So that was Jamaica Kincaid, and next week will be Unfair Advantage, and I think. Oh, okay, we've got one more, maybe two more, but I think the only other. I think this is we're drilling. We're finally getting past the productivity queue. We're finally dwindling down all the productivity books. But next week, it will be the Unfair Advantage. So this wasn't next week. This is what's not going to be one of the things I'm going to. I've already read this. This is what one of the things I'm going. This is what I'm reading next. That's what I'm reading next. And this is the review that you should see next week, or the next book review that you see will be this. And I'll be wearing the same thing because we have more to do here. So anyway, yeah. See you guys. I'll see you guys then.